Hello, everyone. I'm Deborah Kahn, founder of Being Patient. Welcome to our special series on diversity and dementia. This series is brought to you with support of Eisai Inc., a human healthcare company. Today, we have with us Kimberly and Robert Reid. It's quite an astonishing case where, Kimberly, you were diagnosed at the very young age of 50 years old with Alzheimer's disease. So thank you both for joining us. Kimberly, I just want to start with you. 50 is unimaginable to many of us who have loved ones with Alzheimer's disease. How did you first note that something may be wrong?
I don't know the date or anything of when it happened, but I could tell something wasn't right with my head, and stuff. So I was just trying to feel it out and see what was going on and everything. And for what I could find out, I couldn't find out much of anything. And then I remembered seeing you guys and information that you could probably provide for me. Hopefully.
So were you working at the time where you noted something was wrong? And were you experiencing memory loss? Could you not do your job in the way that you used to be able to? What exactly went wrong?
Yeah, I couldn't do what I was there to do or anything. So I just had to leave the company because I couldn't keep all the stuff in that we had to do for them.
Robert, what were you noticing as Kimberly's husband? What did you note at home? Did you see signs?
Oh yes, ma'am. Definitely. We saw a lot of signs, and with that, also just in daily discussions with Kim after work about some of the issues that she was going through. If you notice, I'm trying to let her say as much as possible without correcting her, because that's how we kind of co-partner this. I want her to be able to speak out as much as possible about this without correcting her. So please forgive me if I do say some things that kind of contradicts what she says. That's not my intent, but I do want her to continue socially being able to talk about this subject. So with that said, she does have she was having a lot of issues at work. Just for a little bit of background, her job was in logistics, so for a freight company. So her job on a daily basis was to track trucks and trains all over the country. So she noticed that she was having issues doing a lot of that tracking, keeping up with the shipments and things like that. So of course she would bring that home and we would talk about it. And from that, we noticed that there might have been some issues, and that's when we started going to the doctor to try to figure things out.
Were there things that you were noting at home, though? Aside from her expressing her issues at work, what were you noticing at home?
Getting older.
We're all there. I'm right there with you.
We tend to do things. I mean, start leaving more notes around the house about doing things, writing things down, doing lists. We've always had a busy household with kids involved in sports and after school and everything else. So it really wasn't as noticeable at home. And it really wasn't until she started talking about it, about work, that we started to pay more attention to it.
Yeah. Kim, did you want to go to the doctors at that point? I mean, a lot of people, when they're first having memory issues or things, are scared to go to the doctors because what were you thinking at that time? Did you think I need to go see someone? Something's really wrong, or were you trying to compensate? What were you doing?
I knew something was really wrong because I wasn't even able to really think right, it wasn't coming together right. So yeah, I did want to go to the doctor and figure out what is going on, because I couldn't remember little things.
And what was that experience like when you went to the doctors? Were you even thinking Alzheimer's at that time?
Mm-mm. No.
I mean, and I would assume most doctors at the age of 50, it wouldn't be the first thing on their mind is, oh, Alzheimer's, right? That's so young.
Yeah. I just told them that, that I couldn't think. That's the only thing that I could think of, that I would be wrong, or something like that, I just couldn't think something was wrong with my brain. And so a little scary there. So I wanted to go ahead and talk to somebody's doctor or somewhere, to find out what was going on. Because it was just like your mind was lost or something, I couldn't think.
When you say I'm interested in that. When you say my mind was lost, I couldn't think. What is it? Is it that when you were talking to people, you would stop mid sentence and not remember, or how? What do you mean by that when you say it was like my mind wasn't there?
Yeah, it was just anything that I wanted to think about, or anything anybody asked me. Yeah, I wasn't. It wasn't comprehending. It wasn't wasn't coming through my head to tell them what I should be saying. So it was just kind of hard to figure out what am I supposed to be doing. I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I can imagine. And Robert, I'm assuming, were you in the doctors together? It seems like you're very supportive. I love what you said earlier about having Kim still remain engaged socially, and you're so right. That's so important. Were you alongside her while she was at the doctor's?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I actually, Kim would go to our family practitioner, and our family practitioner would always tell her that she was menopausal, and that because she was menopausal, these things would be expected of her. So after going about 2, 3, 4 times, I literally said, the next time you go, I want to go with you, not to intimidate, but just to listen to see what transpires. So I did go. And when I went, doctor went through the process, examined her, everything else, and literally just came back with the same conclusion. It's just menopausal. So after that quote diagnosis, I pulled the doctor aside and I told the doctor that she was having issues at work, that she was having some issues at home. If she would just consider that it could be something else. And the doctor did listen. So the doctor stepped back and did those tests that they do, those quick tests, asking
Cognitive, are they cognitive tests, right?
Yes, ma'am. Did those quick tests, and based on Kim's responses, did say, well, maybe there is an issue. And that's when we got our first appointment with a neurologist.
Now, take me through that process. Okay, so you've been to the doctor 3 or 4 times, and it's not until the 4th time or so that the doctor says, okay, yes, there's something here. We're going to refer you to a neurologist. Then what happened?
We actually went to the neurologist. Neurologists pretty much performed some of the same tests, and they noticed that there could be some issues, but they also wanted the opinion of a neuropsychologist. It was then that when we went to the neuropsychologist and all of the tests that they performed, that they came back with a conclusion that it could possibly be early onset Alzheimer's at that time.
And Kim, do you have family that have Alzheimer's disease? Did your mom, or who in your family, if anyone?
No, when did Mama?
Kim's mother actually had Parkinson's disease and Lewy body
Dementia.
Dementia. Her father had a touch of dementia. And we did, after finding out that Kim had early onset Alzheimer's, did a little bit of investigating, and her grandparents could have had it. But keep in mind that Kim was raised in Kentucky, small towns in Kentucky. Unfortunately, Blacks didn't have as much opportunity to actually go to the doctor, to have a lot of tests done to actually diagnose Alzheimer's or dementia. So they may not have been, quote, diagnosed with it, but they did show signs of it.
Mm. So have you ever, Kim, do you know if you have a genetic predisposition? Has anyone tested your genetics?
No.
No, she doesn't have a genetic disposition, no.
Okay, so now I can't really imagine how a diagnosis at 50 would be. How many years has it been since you've been diagnosed?
I don't know how many.
It's been 4 years. It was June 15th, 2017.
Wow. And
that was the official diagnosis.
And
actually started.
What was it that made the diagnosis official? Because, you know, there's a lot of people who, you know, first get the diagnosis, it's MCI, and then as time goes on, yes, of course it's Alzheimer's, but a lot of people don't actually know what they have. And it's interesting too, because Kim had a mom with Lewy body dementia. So what was it that gave you that concrete diagnosis? And are you sure it's Alzheimer's today?
I don't exactly know how to answer that one. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it seems like it's been going pretty good for me, you know, right now. But I'm still kind of hanging out at home, staying kind of close, you know, and everything for so we can kind of find out what is going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Robert, do you remember what gave the conclusive diagnosis?
Yes, ma'am. There's a little bit of backstory to that, if I can add.
Yes.
We had a certain insurance plan to where we were going to different doctors in different places. But with my retirement, I was able to switch my insurance plans, and we were able to go to an insurer that had everything under one umbrella, which was very, very beneficial. So even though we had that pre-diagnosis, at the same time we changed insurances, and we were able to do a lot of additional tests with our current neurologist. And one of those tests was the spinal tap, to be able to check the
plaque, if there's evidence of plaque.
Yeah.
Or tangles. Yeah.
All of that, plus a ton of brain scans and everything else. And based off of that, that's where the diagnosis of early onset Alzheimer's. With that, and this new connection with a new neurologist, it also provided us an opportunity through their personal connection to also be seen by Emory University. And at Emory, who is heads up on everything dealing with dementia and Alzheimer's. Kim also ran a series of tests with them, and they kind of confirmed that they would have also diagnosed early onset Alzheimer's.
Now, are you participating in any clinical trials, Kim? Are you in any studies?
Right now?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No, she's not.
No. Okay. Have you been offered the opportunity to participate in research?
Yes, actually, she has done clinical trials before. Unfortunately, she had a bad experience with one of the clinical trials that she had. With that experience, we've kind of stepped back a minute from clinical trials. But at the same time, we were just offered another one just last week that we're looking into and considering. And we have to do that now because of her adverse reaction to the first clinical trial.
Can I ask you what the issue was with the first clinical trial? What was the problem?
Yeah, she was literally, the trial was an infusion-based trial. With that, we were close to the end, probably about a month away from the last infusion. And she started having some side effects from the drug, even though, of course, they can't tell you if you have the placebo or if you have the actual drug, but she was having some side effects. So because of that, we decided to withdraw from the clinical trial. It wasn't any major outside side effects, but we didn't want to continue to allow it to worsen.
Yeah, that's understandable. So tell us a little bit about the dynamics within your family and finding out about Alzheimer's. Was it hard? Was it a hard topic to talk about with the rest of your family, your kids and other relatives?
No, I think everybody, well, after we sit down and kind of explained everything that was going on, then I think they kind of, even if they didn't know what they were really listening to, all the details, but, we kind of shared stuff, a little bit with them, and so that they know what was going on.
I always say the people who are doing best with Alzheimer's are the ones that have this like best care partners, right? And Robert, it's obvious you're very involved.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
How do you view caregiving? Like, tell us a little bit about your experience and your role.
Well, it's day to day. You learn something new every day. Every day is I wouldn't necessarily call it a challenge, especially when you're doing it for the one you love. But it is based on the mood of the day, based on the things that not only she has going on, but also what I have going on. I was fortunate enough to retire, to be able to be here full time, even though I still work a little bit, but even during those times, I still have the opportunity to look out for her. But when you asked about how did the family take it, well, I just want to say that we have two wonderful kids, and they're young adults now, and both of them still stay at home. And one of the reasons they stay at home is to help out when they can, even though I encourage them to live their lives as much as possible. But they understand what's going on. They're here to help. It's just a tremendous support system that we have. Of course, we won't talk about our faith right now, but at the same time, just the faith within the family allows the kids to help out as much as they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think what you are highlighting, which is so important for other people impacted by dementia, is that it really takes a village, doesn't it? It's not, if it's one person doing this alone, either, patient or caregiver, it's impossible, and so the more people who are involved, the better. And I think that you're illustrating that so beautifully. Tell me a little bit about your advocacy. I know you two have become good advocates and role models for others, but how are you raising awareness and what are you doing in terms of, making others understand more about Alzheimer's?
What you do.
Well, I'll touch on that. Well, first and foremost, I would say that our first point of advocacy was with the Walk to End Alzheimer's. We've been fortunate enough to be a part of it ever since 2017, once we found out. With that said, the support that we've gotten, just raising funds and bringing awareness through that event has been tremendous. This year, we just did the walk on October the 2nd. And currently, we're in 5th place. Our team is in 5th place out of 93 teams.
Woohoo! Well done.
And actually, I owe a lot of that to family and friends, of course, but to my employer. They really support the cause. Even
Let's
today,
give them a plug. Who do you work for? Who did you work for?
Gresham Smith, an engineering architectural firm based in Nashville, Tennessee, with offices in Atlanta, Florida, in the heavily within the Southeast. Gresham Smith.
Well, I love that you brought that up, and here's why. Because what you are receiving is really support within the family and the community, including your employer, right? Which is so important, and which I think a lot of people, I think the problem with Alzheimer's in many cases is people feel the need to hide from everyone, right? Like, I have this neurodegenerative disease, and therefore I must remove myself. And that's terrible, and that's tragic to me. And so I think what you, Kim, and Robert are doing is not putting your heads down and saying, this is nothing to be ashamed of, and we're going to work towards that cause. So, kudos to both of you. I mean, I know it's not an easy thing to do. I mean, even looking inside my own family, it hasn't been an easy journey at all. So, I love that you're bringing up the work, the community, the family, which is also important. I just want to ask you last to end with, what have you learned on this journey? I mean, Kim, is there something that you've learned after your diagnosis, a takeaway that you could give us?
I'd say just keep going like what's going on, and everything that, mine has been kind of still where, I'm thinking I should know things. And so far I still kind of tell folks stuff that I think I should know, and everything. But yeah, it's just to kind of continue on, because I can't just sit down and quit it all. So
absolutely. And you're great role models to others. I mean, one of the problems that we're trying to highlight on Being Patient Too is the need for more diversity in clinical trials to understand why Alzheimer's disproportionately is impacting Latinos and Black populations more so. And, I think people like you, it's so important. Robert, maybe let me touch on that a little bit. What do you think some of the barriers into participating in research are within diverse populations?
First and foremost, lack of knowledge. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just that historically, things are not put out into the community within the minority population, the same as it is within the majority population, which actually I have to give a plug to another advocacy group that we're involved in. It's called Black Dementia Minds, which is part of the National Dementia Minds. One thing about that group is it does allow us, people of color, to be able to discuss these things and find ways of actually putting it out into the community. We have literally become a faith-based group that works with Dr. Fayron Epps. I'm sure you have.
Yep, we know Fayron. We love her. Yeah.
working with her, Black Dementia Minds, National Council of Dementia Minds, we're able to put videos together to be able to put out into the community because of the fact that that opportunity is not always there because of lack of knowledge, but also lack of funds, and basically just the ability to advertise. And I don't mean advertise in order to sell, but advertise in order to inform. And that's what we have the opportunity to do right now, is to actually put it out into the community to make people aware, especially with the numbers and the percentages that are current. If you provide that knowledge, then it opens up doors to take away some of that history. Like I mentioned before, and I'm sorry for being long, but like I mentioned before, historically, because of our lack of healthcare, because our lack of funds to even go to the doctor, those things were not prevalent to us to be able to recognize and to understand. So the more knowledge that we could put out there, go get checked, do this, do that. If they see a Black face doing it, they're more apt to, first of all, see that it can happen to them, but also that they can do something about it.
Absolutely. I think that's so important. And I just want to say wholeheartedly, thank you both so much for sharing with us your story. It is so important. And truly, I mean this, that you both are an inspiration, for your advocacy and being so open. And I just wish you all the best. And let's just stay in touch. But thank you so much for joining us today.
No, thank you for having us.
It was a
All
pleasure.
glory to God.
It was a pleasure to meet both of you. So if you want to catch more about this interview, we have on beingpatient.com, we have a full print article with Kim and Robert. This is part of our series on diversity and dementia. This is a special series brought to you with the support of Eisai Inc., a human healthcare company. Thanks everyone for watching, and we will see you next time.